from and the reliability of all of that, because I think it's very necessary. No sound? Having audio issues?
It's there.
It's there? The chat is saying there's no sound. We're back, yeah? Fixed. Sorry about that, people. Sorry about that. We'll go back to what I was saying earlier, and that is I'm alone again. As you can see, last Thursday and Friday I took the reins and you guys helped me out with a lot of questions, thoughts and opinions. We're going to do that again today, and you guys can help me out with some of these reports flying around Arsenal Football Club. And I do want to get into the reliability of some of these reports. I think that's a big issue amongst certain fan bases, and Arsenal fan base in particular are definitely one that get manipulated not only by the owner, as we've seen over the last 10-15 years, but by the media as well, by the mainstream media, by every form of media at the moment. If you look on Twitter, every single day there's reports linking Arsenal to Tom, Dick or Harry, and more often than not transfer windows don't often end up with more than a handful of signings at most. Let me see what people are saying in the chat before we get into it. It's all fixed, all good and well. That's what I like to see. But yeah, this Locatelli news, obviously it was broke in a sense by Fabrizio Romano last night, who quoted the Sassuolo CEO. I know Robbie discussed it earlier on Transfer Daily in the morning. If you haven't checked that out, make sure you do. But I'm here to discuss it and give my perspective on it. So if there's anyone out there that doesn't like my pessimism or reality or negativity, as people like to say, then you can go over and watch Transfer Daily and hear Robbie's opinion of it. Me, we're going to get into what I think. But Fabrizio Romano said Arsenal have made an official bid for Locatelli. They're pushing hard to sign Manuel, and it's an important bid. We will see. Also, Juventus want Locatelli, and we've got a special relationship with them. We've got a new meeting scheduled with Juventus. In my honest opinion, when I first read that, and it happened during Big Six on my channel, I thought to myself, it's nothing we can get carried away with. As you can see, Juventus are also interested, and as you can see, Juventus can offer a lot more in terms of football and in terms of the right direction, let's say. I know they haven't had the best of seasons, but Arsenal haven't had the best of decades, which is a very big difference. So if Juventus can somehow come up with the funds, I know that they're in some debt at the moment, COVID losses, 200 million plus. That is a big problem for them. But at the same time, there's conflicting reports on financial fair play too. There's some that think it's completely gone, it's not in play this summer, and in others areas, clubs speak of FFP and how they need to abide by the rules. I'm not sure what's going on with it, but we'll find out. I'm sure in the near future with how Man City go with Kane and Grealish. Oh yeah, shortly after the Fabrizio Romano tweet, Chris Wheatley, about 45 minutes later, tweeted regarding Arsenal Football Club and Locatelli and Juventus, and he said the transfer merry-go-round has officially begun. Juventus have already agreed personal terms with Locatelli. That was bullet point 1. Bullet point 2, Sassuolo pressuring Juve to increase their offer. And bullet point 3, Xhaka linked as Juventus alternative, but interest not concrete, and he wants to join Roma. Now, that tweet in itself, it doesn't make sense to me, because it seems that Chris Wheatley, I think we all know that Chris Wheatley and Fabrizio Romano this summer, they've been going at it in a way on Twitter. I think more Chris Wheatley being the aggressor and sending shots at him. I'm not sure what's going on there. The in the know seem to, be getting at each other right now. And in a sense, we're caught in the crossfire. At Arsenal Football Club, a lot of rumours, drag us left, right and centre every summer. And when we look at Fabrizio Romano, who's got some credibility, and Chris Wheatley, who seems to have some credibility, going at it, that's not in our favour. Within 45 minutes, we've had 2 conflicting reports, one saying Arsenal are in the driving seat and the other saying Juventus are in the driving seat. And then we have Charles Watts today. Charles Watts added, on Locatelli, Arsenal sources deny making any official bid. There's a feeling Sassuolo are using Arsenal's name to get Juventus to offer more. But I am told Arsenal's interest in Locatelli is genuine, and there has been contact between the clubs. A move hasn't been ruled out. Now, there's obviously interest there. I'm not sure how much interest there is, considering Charles Watts here has said we are in contact, but we haven't made an official bid. That in itself doesn't really make sense, because Locatelli is someone that if you're going to make contact for, and the club are open to selling, as they obviously are, with Juventus and Arsenal sniffing around, then surely the next step is a bid. This is why I'm so pessimistic about Arsenal transfer windows, because it's way too slow and laboured. At the end of the day, it seems like there was an opportunity, or there is an opportunity, to get this deal done before Juventus can even collect their thoughts about the situation and work out how they can do it. But knowing Arsenal, we just won't move quick enough to get this type of a deal done. And that's just the unfortunate perspective of mine. Let me see what's going on here. Pop says Chris Wheatley and these other Arsenal guys are just bitter. Fake news, says Ivan. Fabrizio only told what the Sassuolo CEO told on Sky. It was never him. Yeah, that's true. It was a direct quote, and it wasn't really anything from Fabrizio himself. So that is fair enough. And a direct quote is a direct quote. That was reported on Sky Sports today as well. So it is what it is. Listen, my point with the in the nose and the journalists online, I've just discussed two in particular that the Arsenal fans hold in high regard, going at it on Twitter. This is why we have to take it all with a pinch of salt. Number one, they're only told what the person telling them wants to tell them. And as much as there is no smoke without fire, and you know how the old saying goes and whatnot, with Arsenal Football Club, it doesn't work like that. There is a lot of smoke and hardly, ever a fire. And the in-the-nose and journalists are part of that. They are part of this big transfer window game. As much as we talk about agents, as much as we talk about transfer fees, as much as we talk about all these kind of variables that can affect the transfer, in-the-nose and journalists are part of that. They are a pawn in the game. Agents use them, clubs use them, but they're not really in the nose. They're just told a bit more than maybe others, just to fit an agenda. A lot of fans throw the agenda word about, but agendas from clubs and agents and players themselves are fed through in the nose and journalists. And that's the credible ones, let alone the ones that just do it to get a few followers, just do it to get a few views. So my opinion of the credibility of Twitter in general as a news platform is very minimal. I tend not to take much of it on, in my honest opinion, because I've been let down far too often from rumours and links. Romano's a tap-in merch, said Ivan. Thoughts on Ward-Prowse? I like Ward-Prowse, but at the end of the day, when you're rumoured to be linked with a Locatelli, listen, I'm of the opinion we need 4 new central midfielders. Obviously different types of central midfielders, but 4. Because I'm of the opinion that Partey is the only one good enough for me that I can see here in 3 years. Guendouzi's on the way out and we don't know how he will progress, but everyone else, I'm pretty sure we can agree, has had it. And that includes Xhaka, that includes El Nene. Ceballos has already gone back. Joe Willock, now that's an interesting one, but if he's got some value there, then surely we need to realise that value this summer rather than wait it out and potentially lose some of that value again like we've lost with many players. So my opinion of Ward-Prowse is good, and if we was a club looking to actively fix the holes in the squad, then that would be an option for depth. But at the same time, there's bigger holes in the starting 11 right now before worrying about depth. James says, do you not think Locatelli could be a one tournament wonder, like James at the World Cup for James at the World Cup for Colombia? I don't take a tournament performance alone as an indication of signing a player. Yes, you can find gems here and there in tournaments, and it's been done in the past, but tournaments have also bred players that have a good tournament and then fail to live up to expectations in the leagues they move onto in the weeks after the tournament ends. We've seen that probably more often than successes. James, in my opinion, it's a funny one, because obviously James had a great tournament and he didn't live up to that great tournament, but I think he's also had a decent career where he's played at good clubs, played at a good level, and he is a good player, but I do understand he didn't live up to that expectation. With Locatelli, I feel like there's more behind it, because he's had a good season over there as well. As soon as obviously Turkey drew Italy and we was going into that game, and I'd done a bit of research, Locatelli was one of the ones that Italian fans and the media picked out as one to watch. So I'd done a bit of research into him, and he's robust. He's not a defensive midfielder, but he's a deep lying playmaker. Maybe the Euros has made people feel he's more attacking than he really is, because as far as I know, he's a great passer. That's what seems to be coming out of Italy. He's a great passer, good range of passing. He likes a cross-field pass. His numbers are great. Sassuolo, they average above 50% possession across the league season last season, and for a club outside the top 6, that is quite good. And you have to look at why, and Locatelli is a big part of that. So I feel like there is a player there, and the fact that Juventus are linked as well. Look, if Juventus are linked to a player, I know they're linked to Xhaka as a plan B. They're also in turmoil in terms of finances, so the drop-off is vast. Locatelli, Italian players, they tend to go to Italian clubs, but it seems that Italian clubs don't have the financial muscle no more to compete. So maybe that can be the pool we have, because it's the only pool we have right now. Turkish, what do you think about the first 2 signings that Arsenal supposed to get done? What's that? Ben White and Lokonga. People keep on reminding me it's Lokonga, not Lokanga, but I don't know why I said Lokanga. Lokonga. I'm not, it is what it is. Lokonga's a young central midfielder. I see him as a Guendouzi replacement, more so than maybe a starting 11 player. And Ben White, that one's more interesting to me, because I don't know how I'm going to feel about that. People can tell me his attributes and tell me he's a good player, and that's all good and well, but if it means Saliba leaving, then it highlights the bigger problem yet again at the club, that they don't really know what they're doing behind the scenes. Regardless of if Ben White's better, regardless of if Ben White's needed, we need to see what happens with Saliba to understand what is really going on. Once the transfer window ends, I'll give my opinion on Ben White a bit more. Might be an inverted right back, who knows? Might be a defensive mid, who knows? At the moment, it's all ifs and buts. We're not really sure. So surely we should get Bissouma over Locatelli, says Carlos. I'd say different players, and like I said earlier on, I think we need 4 new central midfielders in very different shapes and forms and qualities, and I think Bissouma and Locatelli would be 2 different midfielders that would add different partnership aspects, and probably 2 that could potentially play together. So for me, it's not a Bissouma or Locatelli. It would be a Locatelli and Bissouma, but we do support Arsenal Football Club, so I do understand why it does become a choice, one or the other. What do you think is going on with the Onana deal? I don't think there's going to be a deal there. Everyone built up that court ruling as the deciding factor, and when the ruling maybe didn't go as much the way Arsenal wanted as they would have thought, it still got cut. And when you're without a backup keeper or a new keeper for the first couple months of the season, it's not as bad as other positions, considering Leno will start the season number 1 regardless of Onana. I think it's a risk we should have taken, but due to it quietening down now, I feel like it's pretty much dead in the water. We got another super chat here. Says, have people taken into consideration that maybe Saliba doesn't want to be at Arsenal? Well, I think so. I look at the way he was treated, and I think I'd feel hard done by as well. At the same time, I feel like if he was given the promise of being given chances this season, he would want to be at Arsenal. Now, that's where the problem lies. I don't feel like him not wanting or wanting to be at Arsenal comes down to anything other than playing time. And if we're not offering that, I feel as fans we deserve to know why we're not offering, considering how much we had expectations in him a couple of years ago when we signed him. It's not often Arsenal spend decent money. 30 million is decent money for an 18-year-old centre-back that at that time didn't play much games. It's a lot of money, and look at what's happened. Abhinav says, Turkish, do you believe we must get a new striker or give Balogun a chance for a season? And no Nketiah. I'm not sure if that no Nketiah is your own opinion or a question, but striker would be lower down the priority list than certain other positions. I think right back is a must. I think central midfield needs at least 2 bodies, at least 2. If Xhaka eventually goes as well, I'd say 3, and that becomes more of a priority than striker as well, all 3. Attacking midfielder would be another one, 5. Backup left back, it looks like we're sorted with Tavares, that would be 6, and backup goalkeeper would be 7. Then I'd start thinking about striker. Why? because I feel like we gave Oba a new contract just a year ago. Yes, he had the worst season for us and potentially his career, but he's got credit in the bank, and we hope that he can turn it around this season coming, and he should be starting the season as the striker. I think a choice has to be made with Lacazette and, as you mentioned, Eddie and Nketiah, both with a year left. Are we going to let Lacazette run it down and potentially go? You know, some fans are for that idea because we might not get a lot for him this summer. But I look at that idea and think, well, the opportunities we give Lacazette next season and the season when we haven't got Europe, surely would be better off given to Martinelli or Balogun. And that is because of age. And that is because of not only their age, but Aubameyang's age too. Aubameyang is, he's on the downwards curve in terms of age and ability and quality now. Pace, especially, something he relies upon. So I feel like we need to start thinking past Oba too. We're not going to win the league in the next 2 seasons. We can't even say for sure we're even going to challenge for top 4, let alone be in top 4 in the next 2 seasons. So when the time comes that we feel like we can potentially challenge for something we want again, like top 4, like a league title, Oba's not going to be a part of that. So I think a bit more forward thinking now would go a long way. I feel like with Eddie, very little value left. We've offered him a new contract. He seems to have rejected it. I understand completely why. For the club to offer him a new contract is quite cheeky, I'd say, because of the way we treated him this season. In a sense, we could have let him go last summer. We could have let him go in January. He's finished another season where he's played a handful of games and no real development, So for me, I feel like forward thinking, give Balogun and Martinelli the backup chances to Aubameyang. See how they go, see if Oba can pick up form, or see if one of them can potentially, push Oba as a backup or out wide. Who knows? Sorry, I went off on one there, but it is what it is. James again says, thoughts, all midfielders except Partey, Locatelli to fight it out with Partey as the central midfielder. Lokonga and Basuma to cover DM. Locatelli, Lokonga and Basuma. And Partey, that's a good 4 to have. And then you can keep Willock there as maybe the 5th option. Maybe. Because it would be wise to have a 5th, but then you might want to give Aziz them opportunities. So I'd be happy with those 4. If you're asking me, would I be happy with Partey, Locatelli, Lokonga and Basuma as our 4 midfielders on rotation going into next season? I'd say yeah. So, what's going on here? Someone's saying that we made a bid for Locatelli. Isn't that the main news over the last 24 hours, my guy? Turkish, I'm thinking 2025 before we can really challenge for the title, and that's if these clowns do things right. 100%. If these clowns, like you put it, and like we should all put it, get it right, then 2025 is a realistic time to not say we're going to win the league, but to say we can actually start thinking we're a top 4 club again, thinking we can challenge or take the next step to challenge. But if these clowns get it wrong, we might be in 2025 seeing Saka over at Man City and Martinelli over at Barcelona or Real Madrid, while we're even more in the mud than we are now. Because that's our only assets at the moment, the young players we have. So we need to make sure we build adequately around them. They're going to want to be challenging in the next 3-4 years. And if it's not with Arsenal, best believe it will be with someone else. I heard you... What's going on here? Imagine we got 2 back-to-back comments. Bro, you're way too negative, fam, chill. And then the next comment is, whoever says Turkish is negative is deluded. That's a nice little back-to-back. All right, next news story. Let's try and brighten the mood. What have I got next up on the news? How long have we been? 20 minutes in already. Right. Next reports, apparently, and these come from nowhere in my opinion. Again, it comes from the depths of Twitter, in the know and journalism, bottom of the barrel stuff. Apparently, there's rumours that Bellerin might stay. Now, the reason I'm mentioning it is not so much because I believe Bellerin might be staying, but because I'm not happy about the lack of links to a right back. Oh shit, negative again. Well, it is the reality. We need a new right back. We can't be going into the season with Cedric, Chambers and Bellerin, or 2 of them free. I think we need a refreshment there. And we haven't heard enough. So regardless of those rumours about Bellerin being true or not true or whatever's going on, us wanting 20 million, Atletico and Inter being interested, we need to be linked to a right back. Yes, we've been linked to the Turkish right back Mert Muldur in the recent days, decent option, but again, I don't think that him coming in as a starting option would fill me with much excitement, even though he's around 21 years of age, which would be an age to start a player. Dumfries is available for 13 mil. Simple, says Jason. Renato Sanchez would be a good move, says Leandro. Another player we've linked with as well in the past few days. Look at the number of players we've been linked with. Mad. Neves, and now it's these, man. Like, it's just going round and round in circles. Round and round in circles. I see someone say Tyler Adams. Listen, there's interesting options out there, and I don't think there's a right back out there aside from a Hakimi that I would say go and buy this guy. He certainly will be the right back for the next few years for this side. It's a job that the people that are paid at the club have to do. On to Willian now. And look, I'm trying to find a positive news story somewhere, but when you're hearing stuff about Bellerin staying and Willian's wage demands putting off into Miami, so that deal is done, there's an end to negotiations, it's not great news. As much as we was hearing some of these names being circulated amongst rumours leaving the club. Remember, Fabrizio Romano towards the end of the season tweeted about Willian and Bellerin and whatnot. We need to get these outgoings done. We need to get these outgoings done. And Willian, it obviously seems like he's more for the money than playing time. And who knew? Who knew that he was more about money than playing time? We should have all known, because he signed for Arsenal Football Club for the money that he signed for because of an extra year in London. Now, obviously, Luis ain't here, so he's not at home as he might have felt last season. So maybe there is a chance he can leave. But the reports saying 160k and whatnot, it is mad. It is mad. And the last news article I have here in front of me is Reiss Nelson. Reiss Nelson apparently has rejected a new contract. Apparently, we gave him a new contract saying we're going to send him out on loan for a season. What is this all about? You've got to put yourself in Reiss Nelson's shoes and think to yourself, how would you feel having the last 2 years you've had at the club and then the club going to offer you a new contract while saying we're going to loan you out? You've got to understand how he would feel in this situation. Now, again, it's our fault for not realising Reiss Nelson's value maybe last summer or the summer before that if he was not part of our long-term plans. But when you have people in charge that are so inexperienced and all over the gaff, buying Willian, telling us to be patient with Willian in November, whilst we've got Reiss Nelson there, who's young, who, you know, he might not be the greatest, but he loves the club. It was worth giving him those minutes to find out whether he can do it. At the end of the day, we don't really know much about Reiss Nelson aside from he's a good young player. That's it. So I understand why he would reject the contract. Same way Eddie Nketiah would reject the contract. You know, again, the club are showing themselves up in a sense, offering a contract to a player that you've already highlighted is not part of your plans, offering him a contract to send him out on loan. We did that with Mavropanos last summer, gave him a new deal, sent him out on loan. Everyone told me it's the hold value, and then we gave him on loan again with an obligation to buy for 5 million. So that value we held on to last summer was worth 5 million. It might even, is it euros or pounds? Because either way, it's mad that we do such business and make pennies out of it in the football world sense. Nelson's underrated. Why can't Maitland-Niles play at right back? Nelson's underrated again, said someone else. Nelson was on the level of Sancho. I don't know if he was on that level, but Nelson was looked at as a very bright young prospect. He's not ready for the Premier League. Well, not a lot of our players are ready for Premier League, but yet they still play week in, week out. Dekish, you need to get on the board of Arsenal and sort it out big time. If only, mate. If only. Isak signed a new contract today. I would have liked him as something. Yeah, he did apparently. That's what I read earlier. I'm not sure. I don't take my word for it, but it seems like he has signed a new contract. It is what it is. But people, as far as news stories go, that's pretty much it for today. Locatelli, Bellerin, Willian, Reiss Nelson. It is what it is. We keep it moving. We'll be back again tomorrow. Friday, I think Robbie will take over tomorrow, so look out for that. And yeah, I'll be live this Sunday night again at 10 p.m. based around Kroenke and talking about things we can do and the problems at the club. So It's one of those ones Sunday evening, so make sure you're there if you're still on Kroenke's neck. If you're not, then carry on enjoying the transfer rumours floating around that's pulling us left, right and centre. Love and peace, people. I'm out. Take care.